The Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles meet tomorrow in Super Bowl 59. It will be the 8th time the NFL's ultimate game is played in New Orleans Superdome, the most of any venue. While providing pro football with its biggest stage, the Superdome is also one of the oldest stadiums in the NFL. It opened back in 1975, and in its 50 years of operation, the Superdome has become intertwined with the city's rich history, making it much more than just a stadium. For half a century, it's hosted presidential conventions, star-studded concerts, Mardi Gras balls, and more Super Bowls than any other venue. And no wonder. It's the Superdome.
We have 3 of these grand atrium lobbies now.
Jazzed up to the tune of a $500 million renovation.
What made this renovation very complicated is it had to be done over 4 NFL seasons.
Final touches were underway for Super Bowl 59 when we visited last month.
The concourses are probably twice as wide as they were before.
Doug Thornton has run the Superdome for nearly 30 years. His company manages 6 other NFL stadiums across the country, but none with the impact of this one.
It literally put New Orleans on the map immediately when it was built as a sports destination and a convention destination. And all the hotels, the leisure travel that we have today that's been created was a result of this building being placed in the location that it is today.
Would you say from its start, the Superdome saved downtown New Orleans?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it.
Clancy Dubose was a cub reporter for the Times-Picayune when ground broke on the $165 million project in 1971.
Back then, this was all scrappy, crappy railroad yards, probably stockyards, but all of these buildings, other than City Hall, every tall building you see would not be here without the Superdome.
Transforming the landscape of a racially divided town dependent on the oil and gas industry was the brainchild of Saints owner Dave Dixon and Louisiana Governor John McKithen.
He said, we're going to do this, and he put his political capital on the line and got it done.
Wow.
He apparently, the story goes, went over to Houston and went inside the Astrodome, and, well, they were calling it the 8th wonder of the world, so when he decided to get behind the Superdome, he says, I want to be able to put that little Astrodome inside of this one. This was going to be a super dome.
And the name stuck. It opened as the largest indoor stadium in the world, priming the pump for economic growth and opportunity. Entrepreneur Don Hubbard worked to make both available to the whole community.
At 10 cents a share, you could buy shares and stocks into the Dome Stadium operation, which was Superdome Services, called SSI.
Superdome Services hoped for a stake in the construction process, but when the state offered them a contract,
well, then they asked the question, can you sweep? Can we sweep? Here we go.
their offer staff and manage every service in the building, with the exception of the lucrative concessions. SSI directly employed 1,400 people across the racial spectrum, generating business for thousands more in a city with a 70% Black population. So basically they said, oh, you can have all of this,
Yeah.
but you gotta be able to handle it.
You got to be able to do it.
And you did the job?
Not only did we do the job, we do the job in spite of the ones who did not want us to be successful.
Within 5 years, the state canceled the contract, claiming mismanagement. SSI sued and was awarded an undisclosed settlement. But Hubbard returned in 1978, promoting one of the biggest gets in Superdome history, the rematch between Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks.
I was asked to put up the deposit on a date for the fight, and then the company said I had 72 hours to raise the rest of the money, I would lose the deposit.
Did that settlement help with that deposit?
Yes. Yes.
What did the city lose by not having greater participation in what you describe as this economic opportunity that the Superdome was?
An opportunity to bring people to the table who had no hopes of finding nothing else to do.
In 2005, the Superdome would get its chance to serve in a way no one could have imagined, acting as a shelter of last resort during Hurricane Katrina.
I'm very grateful for the Superdome because without it, I don't know where we would be.
Few felt the city could recover, let alone rebuild the severely damaged stadium. Not to mention, keeping a team whose owner threatened to take it elsewhere.
Suddenly there was fear, there was anxiety, there was depression. It was frightening.
Many credit then Commissioner Paul Tagliabue for refusing to allow the franchise to move.
And I put Roger Goodell in the same mix with Paul Tagliabue. They helped fund and jumpstart the construction, but most importantly, they understood what it meant to put the full force of the NFL behind, the rebuilding effort and bring the Saints back.
They're never leaving. Ever.
Period.
No, they just flat out, it ain't happening.
Former Mayor Mitch Landry was the lieutenant governor when the Superdome was reborn.
That first game in this building was the most electric experience that I have ever had in my life. That was the night that New Orleans knew that we were going to be okay. I mean, we really felt it at that time. I'm actually here, so crying.
I know.
Because I was like,
feeling it,
it was
too.
just so it was so cathartic.
In your 30 years in government, have you seen anything bring people together like a Saints game?
I guess it's like this in other cities, but I can tell you, this is the soul of the city.
The soul of the city. And have you ever been in the Superdome?
Yes.
Yeah, it just is. It's a marvel when you think of the concrete and steel and how they've been able to reconfigure it. Doug Thornton says it has at least another 20 years of life in it. Eventually, maybe then they'll need to take it down and rebuild. But think about that.
That's
They have
incredible life.
continuously poured money in so that, and by the way, they get a lot of their money from hospitality taxes, and the team pays for about a third of the rebuild. So it's good stuff all around.
Great piece and hopefully a great game there
Yeah.
tomorrow. Well, if you're heading out the door, don't